I want to start by asking you if you've seen this 21-point peace plan and if you plan to declare support for it at the White House tomorrow.
Well, we're working on it, Jackie. It's not been finalized yet, but we're working with President Trump's team, actually as we speak, and I hope we can make it a go because we want to free our hostages. We want to get rid of Hamas rule and have them disarmed, Gaza demilitarized, and a new future set up for Gazans and Israelis alike, and for the whole region.
This past Friday, President Trump rolled out a 21-point initiative to end the war in Gaza. He called it historic, but Netanyahu called it dangerous, and Hamas called it draconian. On paper, it's a roadmap to peace. In reality, it's a minefield, and every clause could blow the deal apart completely. And on this episode, I'm going to break down what's really inside Trump's initiative and why Israel and Hamas are both pushing back and what this signals for the Middle East in the big picture. So I want to talk about what the plans include. Here's what's on the table. The United States wants a ceasefire. Within 48 hours, all hostages released, Hamas removed from power, its offensive weapons destroyed. Hamas members who choose to coexist would get what they're calling amnesty, and that's a ticket out of Gaza. And, believe it or not, a possible path to return in the future. That's right. And Israel would gradually withdraw from Gaza, a transitional administration, not Hamas, not even the Palestinian Authority, yet would handle day-to-day life. Backed by international monitors, eventually control would pass to the Palestinian Authority, but only after reforms and after the term that they're using is called de-radicalization. And at the end of the road, a path towards Palestinian statehood. That's the promise. That is the pitch. Now, I want to get into Israel's red lines, Netanyahu's red lines. Netanyahu not buying it. Understandably so. First, the disarmament clause. What counts as offensive weapons? Rockets? Yes. But what about drones? What about mortars? What about tunnels? It's too vague. I agree with Bibi. It's too vague, and it's too easy for Hamas to play games. Remember, that's what these terror organizations do. Lie, 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 lie. Darva, lie, lie, lie. Second, let's talk about amnesty. The idea of Hamas members walking free, leaving Gaza, and even returning later, absolute insanity. You don't let terrorists out the front door and then back in through the back door just because that's how we're going to get to an immediate ceasefire here. Third, Palestinian statehood. That clause is a hidden two-state solution, in my opinion. And Netanyahu sees the trap. I agree. And finally, we're talking about sovereignty. Netanyahu wants to apply Israeli law to parts of the West Bank. Trump, under international pressure, is saying no. And that's the collision, in my opinion, that's waiting to happen. I want to talk about Hamas's objections. Let's talk about what the terror group is whining about. And as to why we're negotiating with terrorists is still beyond me. In my opinion, this should have been a war against the Palestinians from day one. That's how it should have been framed. Therefore, all of the Gazatim, or the Azatim, the people in Gaza, could actually finally take responsibility for their little terror army. Different conversation, different episode. But Hamas isn't bending either, and they reject disarmament completely. And for them, weapons aren't offensive. They see them as survival, and surrendering them would mean Israel controls every move they make. Remember, they spent 20 years building up those weapons in Gaza. Smuggling from Egypt, smuggling on ships, tunneling, digging like rats. And they're demanding a seat in Gaza's future. And if the interim government is built only by the Palestinian Authority and international experts, Hamas won't accept it. Let me take a minute and tell you guys about something incredible that I'm building and why I need your help. It's called Gideon. It's the first real-time AI-powered threat detection system for law enforcement and schools. It scans the open web, social media, Discord, Reddit, gaming chats, and flags violent signals before they explode. We're talking about radicalization, grievance buildup, martyrdom language, the exact warning signs we've seen before Uvalde, Buffalo, and the D.C. embassy murders. And right now, there's no system catching it. So I'm building it. And I'm asking you, my audience, the people who care, to help me fund it. Every dollar goes directly to engineering, law enforcement deployment, and getting this into schools and across law enforcement agencies across the country. And so if you've ever asked, why didn't they stop this? Or how come they didn't stop this? This is the answer. And if you're one of those serious guys out there watching this and you're a fan of the show, the ones with the capital, access, reach, the network, and you want to partner with me to seed this mission, I want to hear from you. Reach out to me. Click the link below and reach out directly if you're one of the big dogs. I'm building the system that stops the next attack before it starts, and it's called Gideon. Appreciate you guys. So the bottom line with Hamas is simple. Hamas wants to survive October 7th with influence intact. But here's why a breakthrough, in my opinion, is still tempting Washington. So why the optimism? Trump says everybody wants to go do the deal. He's got nods from Arab states. And if those capitals put pressure on Hamas, especially Qatar, Hamas's room to maneuver could potentially shrink. And that's why Netanyahu is under pressure as well. And so Trump wants movement. He wants momentum. And the Arab states want movement. And inside Israel, his coalition partners are demanding annexation instead of any type of compromise. And Netanyahu essentially is getting squeezed from every side. It's very tricky for Bibi. This has always been tricky for him. I wouldn't want to be in his position. So now there's this trap of optimism. And we've seen this before. You know, you've got big announcements, clauses that look very neat on paper, and the collapse, and then they end up collapsing in reality. And the gap here is very, very massive, in my opinion. Israel doesn't trust the PA's reforms. And why should they? Hamas won't disarm. And Netanyahu's coalition partners are pulling him in the complete opposite direction. Again, it's very tricky. And so that's why this deal, like so many before, in my opinion, are going to fall apart before the ink ever hits the paper. And so what I see here is history repeating itself. We've been here before. We had Oslo. We had Camp David. We had Kerry's framework. I don't know if you guys remember that one. Each time Israel was told, sign the deal, make the concession, take the risk. Each time terrorists regrouped. Each time more blood followed. And Netanyahu, like me, understands the history like most rational people in Israel understand the history. Again, everybody serves in the IDF. It's for a reason. The blood is constantly being spilled whenever a deal is signed. And Netanyahu knows the history, and that's why he's looking at Trump's initiative with caution, because for Israel, unlike some people have pontificated, security isn't theory. It's survival. And survival doesn't get traded for vague promises about reform or BS peaceful coexistence, which Hamas does not want. They never did, and they never will. Go read the charter. So I want to close it with this. This 21-point initiative, which everybody's looking at in good faith, is being sold as a breakthrough. But in my opinion, at its core, it asks Israel to gamble on its survival, on the words like reform and coexistence, which I think is nonsense. And it's asking Hamas to surrender weapons that it lives by, which Hamas is not going to do. And remember, Hamas doesn't want a deal. They never did. The longer the cameras are on this conflict, the more they stay relevant, the more psyops, Darvo, twisting, engineering of the algorithms, hijacking of the comments section, and pushing of absolute nonsense, which has now hit the pop culture, continues to do damage not just to Israel, but to Jewish people around the world, continues to escalate and create a monster security threat. So that's why Netanyahu's hesitating. That's why Hamas is stalling. They don't want to deal. And that's why no matter how historic this sounds, the odds of collapse, in my opinion, are sky high. Hamas doesn't want to make a deal, and Bibi's not going to take a bad one, nor should he. Because in the Middle East, במזרח התיכון, אתה לא מקבל הסכם בלי כוח. Which means in the Middle East, peace isn't written in clauses, it's written in strength. And here's the lesson. If Hamas survives this, Tehran wins. If Israel finishes the job, which is what they're doing right now in Gaza City, October 7th will not happen for many, many, many more years down the road. And there's no perfect solution to terrorism, but you can stall it. And what you want to try and get is 20 years of quiet. That's what we've learned from that side of the business. I want to thank you guys for watching this one. I'm going to keep an eye on this 21-point initiative. It's interesting. And if there's any more news that comes out of it, or as we get closer to a yes or a no, I'll come back and I'll speak to it again. As always, I want to thank you guys for watching. Do me a favor, if you guys are a fan of the show, have a look at my new AI threat detection platform, Gideon. I'm building it for law enforcement. I need your help. We're still pre-seed. I'm still taking donations. Hit the link down below in the description. Kick me 25. It all helps, whatever you can donate. And it allows us to keep building and keep onboarding more pilot agencies into our pre-MVP program or into our pilot program. Thank you guys for watching. I'm Aaron Cohen. You're watching the Aaron Cohen Show, and I will catch you guys on the next one.